If you are an atheist, I'm not here to talk you out of it. I'm not here to argue, fight in the comments, or drag you into a religion. I just want to ask human question. Does your worldview explain all of reality or only the parts that are easy to explain? Most of us never test our worldview. We inherit it, defend it, and assume it works until it doesn't. So stay with me. Let's think about this through together. If you are an atheist, agnostic, skeptical, or you used to believe something and you walk away from it, or you are just spiritually curious and you don't know where you land, this is for you. I'm not trying to win an argument. I have sat through enough debates, watched enough videos, and listened to enough speakers to know this. People don't change their minds because someone out argued them on the internet. So I'm not going to do that to you. Instead, I want to think with you, honestly, respectfully, and out loud. Here is the question I keep coming back to. Which worldview best explains your experience of reality? Not the worldview that is most popular, not the one your family raised you in, not the one that feels or look good. The real question is this: which worldview explains the world you live in, both the world outside you and the world inside you? That is the whole question, and I think it is worth taking seriously. Let's begin with the basic. We use the word worldview often, but we don't always mean the same thing by it. Worldview is not just a list of things you believe, it is the way you look at the world and understand what happens around you. Most of the time, you do not notice it. You use it to help make sense of everything. It is how you answer the big questions you have never said loud. Think about the questions your worldview has to answer. Why is there a universe at all? Why do you have thoughts? Why does it feel like there is a you behind your eyes? Why does cruelty make you angry? Why can beauty take your breath away? Why do you want your life to mean something? You already have answers to those questions. Everyone does. People who do not believe in God, people who do, people who are unsure, and everyone in between. Most of the time, those answers stay quietly in the back of your mind. Like a computer, you do not notice until something stops working. But most people never ask this: can the way I see the world help me understand all of life, even the hard parts? So, let me offer a simple test. If a worldview is really true, I think it has to explain two things. One, it has to explain the world outside you, the universe, physics, chemistry, biology, where matters came from, why are there laws of nature, why does the cosmos have order instead of chaos, the physical world, the things we can measure. Two, it has to explain the world inside you, your consciousness, your sense of right and wrong, your hunger for meaning, your experience of love, of grief, of wonder, your story, the actual life you have lived, including the parts you can't account for. And here is my claim, the one I want you to sit with for the next few minutes. If the way you see the world explains one part of life but not another, it may not be wrong, but it is missing something. That is important. Missing something is not the same as being wrong. A map of your town can show many true streets and still leave some streets out. The map is not lying, it just does not show everything. So do not only ask, is there a way I see the world wrong? Ask, is it complete? Does it explain both the world around me and the world inside me? Let me say this clearly. Atheism is a serious way of seeing the world. It is not silly. It is not for weak people. Many very smart people are atheists. They often become atheists because they wanted proof, asked hard questions, and did not want to believe something just because someone told them to. I respect that. I think more religious people should also care about truth, proof, and careful thinking. And atheism explains a lot. It explains the mechanics of biology, how cells work, how evolution shapes life over time, and how the body functions as an extraordinary living machine. When we talk about things we can see, measure, and test, the world outside us, atheism and science explain a lot very well. I do not want to pretend that it's not true. That will not be honest, and you will notice it. If that outside world were the only thing we needed to explain atheism, might seem like the simplest answer. But there is more than the outside world. There is also the world inside you. Your thoughts, your feelings, questions, and hopes. That is where I want to slow down. Let's think about a few questions together. I am not saying these questions prove atheism is wrong. They do not. Smart atheists have thoughtful answers to them. I am only asking you to notice whether those answers feel complete or whether something still seems missing. First is consciousness. Right now, you are not just taking information, you are experiencing it. You do not see the color red like a camera does. You see it from the inside as a real person with thoughts, feelings, and wants. Scientists can study the brain. They can see which parts are active when you feel afraid. But that only shows what the brain is doing. It does not fully explain why you have an inner life, why there is a you inside, noticing and feeling everything. Big thinkers call this the hard problem of consciousness because every smart scientist and philosopher still have not fully solved it. So here is the question. Can a worldview that says everything is only physical fully explain why you are ready there inside your own mind? Second is morality. Think about this. When you hear that a child has been hurt badly, you do not think this is just atoms moving around. You think that is wrong. Not just wrong to you, not just wrong in your town or culture, really wrong. So, where does that strong sense of right and wrong come from? To be clear, people who do not believe in God can still be very good and kind. Many are. This is not about whether someone acts kindly, it is about how we explain why kindness is good and cruelty is wrong. If the world is only made of matter, energy, time, and chance, then what makes something truly right or wrong? Is cruelty really wrong, or do we only feel that way because our brains learn to work together? Those are not the same thing. One says evil is real, and the other says evil is just a feeling that helps people get along. But most of us do not live like right and wrong are only feelings. We live like some things are really wrong. The question is whether the way we see the world can explain that. Third is meaning. Here is something interesting about people, us, humans. We ask big questions like, does my life matters? A rock does not need a purpose. A river does not wonder if it is wasting its life. But people do. When people feel like their lives have no meaning, they do not just feel sad, they feel deeply hurt inside. If we are here only by accident and the universe has no purpose, then why does meaning feel so important to us? Someone may say, meaning it's just a trick our brains play on us. Maybe, but it is very hard to live as if love, sadness, and hope are only chemicals. We do not live that way. Even if some worldview says there is none. Fourth, fine tuning. This question brings us back to the word us. The universe works because certain things like gravity and other forces are set just right. If they were changed even a little, life could not exist. There would be no chemistry, no living things, and no us. There are smart answers to this. Maybe there are many universes and we just live in one that can support life. Maybe there is an explanation we have not found yet. I am not saying fine tuning proves everything. I am saying it is something real about the universe that needs an explanation. Saying that is just how it is may be an answer, but it may not be enough. Finally, existence itself. This may be the biggest question of all. Every other question is one very old question people have always wondered about. Why is there anything at all instead of nothing? I do not mean how did the universe begin. That is a science question. I mean, why is there a universe at all? Why is there anything for science to study? Every way of seeing the world eventually reaches or questions it cannot fully answer. Some people say the universe just exists. That might be where they stop, and every worldview has to stop somewhere. But stopping does not make the question go away. It is still there. Here is what I have learned, and this is where it gets personal. It is easier to talk about big questions when life feels safe and kind. You can have neat answers about your thoughts, right and wrong, and the meaning of life when everything is going well. But the way you see the world is really tested when life gets hard. Most people face a scary movement at some point, a movement when everything feels like it is falling apart. In that movement, labels like atheist or Christian do not matter as much. You are just a person facing something real. I have had a movement like that. I will not tell the whole story today because I want to tell it carefully later. But I will say this. One day my life was truly in danger. And in that movement, something happened where I saw the world could not explain. It did not fit. I could pretend it fit into what I already believe, or I could admit that my map on the wall was missing something important. I choose to be honest, and that honesty led me somewhere I did not expect. Here is what I am asking of you: not to convert, not to argue with me, and not to pretend. Just be honest about the cracks. Has anything ever happened in your life that did not feel random? Or movement or timing too precise to ignore? Or sense of being protected? A feeling too strong to dismiss as chemistry, or an experience you quietly label weird coincidence because your worldview had no place for it? I am not telling you what that movement means. I am simply asking you not to throw it away because it does not fit neatly into what you already believe. A true worldview should make room for your real experiences. If a map says the street you are standing on does not exist, the map is not more accurate. It is less complete. I told you I will not drag you anywhere, and I meant it. But I also want to be honest about where this conversation is going. When I follow the evidence of my own life, when I stop forcing my experiences into a box that could not hold them, I did not end up with religion. I ended up looking at Jesus. What surprised me was not that he fit neatly into my worldview. It was that he explained the parts my worldview could not: consciousness, morality, meaning, and the movement I survive, not merely by argument, but by making sense of me. That is the road we will walk together over the next several epistles. Slowly, honestly, and with your questions intact. You do not have to believe anything today, convert or pretend. So let's go back to the questions we started with, but say it more clearly. The way you see the world may explain many things, but does it explain everything? Does it explain the universe and your heart, science and the movements you cannot explain, the world around you and the world inside you? If it does, hold on to it. You tested it and it worked. But if something still do not fit, maybe you do not need to throw away what you believe. Maybe you just need to ask with courage and honesty if there is something bigger. Bring your questions, bring your doubts, and if something in your worldview does not fully fit, do not inoke it. Keep thinking with me. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss where this conversation goes next. Thank you and God bless you.